There's a room in your house you never notice. You walk through it 100 times a day. You eat in it, you sleep in it, you've spent your entire life inside it. But you've never once stopped and looked at the walls. Never once asked who decorated the place. Never once wondered whether you chose any of the furniture or whether it was all just there when you arrived. That room is your mind. And the furniture, those are your thoughts. Most of us live like this. We wake up and the thoughts are already running. Before your feet even hit the floor, there's a voice in your head telling you something. Maybe it's reminding you what went wrong yesterday. Maybe it's worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's just a low hum of tension that doesn't even have words, just a feeling, a weight, a familiar heaviness you've carried so long you forgot it wasn't always there. And here's the thing nobody tells you early enough. You don't have to believe every thought that shows up. You don't even have to respond to it. A thought can walk into the room of your mind, sit down, say something loud and convincing, and you can just let it sit there. You don't have to offer it tea. You don't have to argue with it. You don't have to rearrange your whole life around it. But most of us do. Most of us treat every thought like it's a fact, like it's breaking news delivered by someone who definitely knows the full story. It's not, and they don't. So let's talk about that room. Let's talk about the furniture. And let's talk about what it would mean to finally realize you're not the furniture. You're the one who gets to decide what stays and what goes. There's an old idea in the Hindu tradition, from the Upanishads, one of the oldest collections of philosophical writing we have. It describes the self using an image of a chariot. The body is the chariot. The horses are the senses. The reins are the mind. And the rider, the one sitting quietly in the back, watching everything, that's your true self, your awareness, the part of you that can observe a thought without becoming it. In plain words, you are not the noise in your head. You are the one who can hear the noise. That distinction is everything. Think about it like this. When you sit in a room and a loud truck passes outside, you hear it. The sound fills the space for a moment, but you don't stand up and say, I am this truck. You don't panic and think the truck is part of your house now. You just notice it. It passes. The room is quiet again. Thoughts are supposed to work the same way. They pass through. They make some noise. Some of them are useful, like a delivery truck bringing something you actually ordered, but a lot of them are just random traffic. Loud, rumbling, shaking the windows a little, and then gone, if you let them go. The problem is, we don't let them go. We run outside, chase the truck down the street, climb on the back of it, and ride it all the way to a place we never wanted to visit. That's what it looks like when your thoughts control you. You get a small worry, and 20 minutes later, you've planned for 3 worst-case scenarios and emotionally lived through all of them. You get a memory of something embarrassing you said 4 years ago, and suddenly your face is hot, and your stomach is tight, and you're right back in that moment like it's happening now. You get a thought that says, you're not good enough, and instead of noticing it the way you'd notice a truck passing, you move it into the room, you give it the best chair, you build your whole day around it, right? You know this feeling. Everyone does. Now, there's a Buddhist teaching that's useful here. It comes from the practice of mindfulness, but not the version you see on apps and coffee mugs, the original idea. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha taught something very specific about thoughts. He said to observe them, not to fight them, not to judge them, not to push them away, just to know that they're happening, which basically means when a thought shows up, you don't need to do anything about it. You just see it clearly. Oh, that's fear. Oh, that's an old story I keep telling myself. Oh, there's that voice again, the one that says I'll never figure this out. You name it, gently, almost the way you'd identify a bird in a tree, not with frustration, not with urgency, just quiet recognition. There it is. And something interesting happens when you do this. The thought loses its grip. Not immediately, not every time, but over and over, little by little, you start to feel a gap between you and the thought, a small space, a breath of air between the noise and your response to it. That space is freedom. That space is the whole point. See, most people think freedom means having no problems, no bad thoughts, no anxiety, no sadness, a perfectly clear mind all the time, like a still lake in a photograph nobody actually took. That's not freedom. That's a fantasy. Real freedom is having the thought and not being dragged by it. It's the truck passing and you staying in the room. It's the furniture being there, maybe ugly, maybe uncomfortable, and you realizing you don't have to sit in every chair just because it exists. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome, arguably the most powerful man in the Western world at the time, he kept a private journal, just for himself, and in it he wrote, over and over, in different ways, one essential idea. He said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Here's what that looks like in real life. You can't control the fact that someone cut you off in traffic. You can't control the fact that your coworker said something dismissive. You can't control the fact that a thought popped into your head at 2 in the morning, telling you everything is falling apart. But you can control what you do next. You can notice the thought. You can feel the heat of it, the pull of it, the way it wants you to react. And then you can choose, not from panic, not from habit, from that small, quiet space between the noise and your response. That's what it means to stop letting your thoughts control you. It doesn't mean the thoughts stop. It means you stop obeying them automatically. Let me come back to the room for a moment. Imagine you've lived in this room your whole life, and it's cluttered. There's a chair in the corner that's been there since you were 12. It's the "you're not smart enough" chair. There's a heavy table in the middle that you bump into every day. That's the one labeled, "What other people think of you matters more than what you think of yourself." There's a pile of old newspapers by the door, and every single headline says some version of, "Remember that time you failed?" You've been walking around this furniture for years, adjusting your path to avoid it, squeezing through gaps, apologizing when you bump into things, never once thinking, "Wait, I could move this. I could take some of this out." Not because you're weak, because nobody told you it was an option. And that's what these old teachings are really offering. Not perfection, not escape, just the awareness that the room is yours. The furniture can be rearranged. Some of it can be carried out entirely. And the stuff that's too heavy to move, you can at least stop pretending it's not there. You can see it clearly, walk around it with your eyes open, and stop letting it trip you in the dark. There's a line from Lao Tzu, the old Taoist teacher. He said, "Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions." In other words, the invisible stuff in your head isn't invisible at all. It shows up everywhere, in how you talk to people, in what you say yes to, in what you avoid, in the shape of your whole life. So the work of watching your thoughts, really watching them, isn't some abstract spiritual exercise. It's the most practical thing you can do, because when you see the thought clearly, you get a choice. And when you have a choice, you're no longer on autopilot. Now, I want to be honest about something. This isn't easy. It sounds simple when someone explains it calmly, but in the middle of a bad night, when your mind is racing and your chest is tight, and the same 3 thoughts keep circling like dogs that won't lie down, it doesn't feel simple. It feels like the thoughts are you, like there's no room between you and them. And in that moment, the most helpful thing isn't a philosophy, it's a practice, something small, something your body can do even when your mind is loud. Breathe in, slowly. Feel the air come in through your nose. Fill your chest. Press gently against your ribs. Hold it for just a moment, then let it go, slowly. And as you breathe out, just notice. Not fix, not solve. Just notice what's happening in the room of your mind. "Oh, I'm anxious." That's it. That's the whole move. You named the furniture. You didn't become it. You didn't fight it. You just saw it. And the next breath, you do it again and again. And slowly, not all at once, but slowly, you start to feel that gap. The space between the thought and you. The space where you remember, you're not the truck. You're the room. You're not the noise. You're the one who hears it. Remember this. The goal was never to have an empty mind. The goal was to stop being pushed around by a mind that's full. You will still have anxious thoughts. You'll still have sad ones and petty ones and strange ones that come from nowhere and mean nothing. You'll still lie awake some nights. You'll still get hooked by an old story sometimes and ride it halfway across town before you realize what happened. That's fine. That's human. The difference is, now you know what's happening. Now you can catch yourself mid-ride, step off the back of the truck, and walk back to the room. Your room. The one that was always there, quiet underneath everything, waiting for you to notice it. You don't have to fight your mind. You just have to stop mistaking it for who you are. The thoughts will keep coming. They always do. Let them come. Let them pass. And when one tries to sit down and take over the whole room, just look at it, clearly, calmly, the way you'd look at a chair you didn't choose and don't have to keep. Then take a breath and decide for yourself what stays.